Welcome back to the Strawberry Hanger Project. If you're not familiar with this series, I'll leave a link to a playlist up in the top corner here or here so you can get familiar with the project. These videos are brought to you by our Patreon contributors. Our top contributors are trueaquaponics.com, growpockets.com, aquaponics.ai, and glassbottleoutlets.com. Thank you for your support. We're in the middle of winter now, and it's finally warm enough in here for one day. It's about 35 or so, so at least it's not ultra freezing, so I can spend a little time putting this all together now. The original prototype section's actually in pretty good shape, so there's really no changes I need to do except for just add the bearing into the middle of this. I never did it originally, just when I was experimenting. So we got our pulleys in there, the bearing, we can just slide that right back in. Very obvious at the center that needed to be supported. One thing that I'm not overly thrilled about is how much these brackets are bending on the back side here. They obviously aren't designed for something like this. They're supposed to go against a piece of square tubing. So most likely I'll have to fabricate something out of some stronger metal, because I think once I get a lot of weight on these, they're going to keep bending a little bit. I don't think it's going to be a safety issue, but I would like it to be not so bendy. Okay, I got my conduit more or less laid out for the entire length. Now we'll just put it together and try to get some of it hung up. These tube connection knobs are pretty awesome for interconnecting something like this. Basically just use a piece of threaded rod and the nut, jam it into the end a little bit, and they will not let go at all. Of course, in my boneheaded move, I miscalculated how many of these I need, and I'm short by 2, so I'll have to either order more or see if I have any in the workshop, but I can keep on putting the rest of this together without these for now. The trusses are spaced every 4 feet, so that gives me a total of 28 feet. This is 30 feet long, so what I'm going to do is just measure off a foot. Instead of cutting these, I'll just let them overhang a little bit. I'll get a little extra trough length out of this. So go in the foot, and then every 4 feet down the line I'll put in a cross support bracket. Next up are the clamps for the belt. Make sure that everything's centered properly with these. So what will happen is this will look like it's offset, but when the belt comes out of this, it will be centered to make sure our center of gravity is done properly. This long line of tubing doesn't really have much strength, so if I try to pick up one end and hang it, the other end's just going to bow and probably rip those tubing connectors out. They're strong, but not that strong. So what I'll do is I'll hang up some temporary belts. This is that really thin stuff that I got when I was first experimenting, and lift everything up into place one little bit at a time. Now that I have this suspended, I can lift up each section a little bit at a time. That will keep it from bending too much, and it will inch its way up. Since I don't have an army of people to help me with this, it's probably the best way to do it. As I was hanging that first one in one big piece, I was thinking of a easier way to do it. And I think on this one, I'm going to try doing it one section at a time. And I've already dismantled part of it, so I just have this one 10-foot piece. And this will allow me to hang just this one. It's actually going to be balanced fairly nicely in here. I can easily lift this up now. Just sort of let that hang in there. Now I have the sling on this side of it. It's working for a couple of these. If I was doing a lot more, I would definitely change this method of hair. I just lowered this down another 6 inches or so. I wanted to get a little bit more comfortable height. And now I'll put on the rest of the belting in the areas that I haven't put it on yet, since all the other belts are temporary. So I'll now hang it from the new belts, remove the temporaries, and finish off all the permanent belts. I've left all the pulleys loose for now, just so I can make adjustments to everything. I'm also going to leave a bunch of slack on this just so I can make adjustments to the height. Now that everything is hanging in here, I can tighten up my screws on these pulleys, and then I can also adjust the height of the troughs a little bit. I want them so that from one end to the other they slope down maybe 2 inches or so. I just want to make sure I can get the water to drain out of these properly. Also, this last belt isn't the right one. I ran short because I decided to hang these a lot lower than I originally had calculated for, so I'm short on my belt, so I just have a temporary in on here. So now this is 2 inches lower than the other side, and I'll go through the rest of this and adjust them to be the right heights. So now if we line of sight from one end to the other, it's fairly straight, and up in here I have about 3 inches of gap, and then down on the far end there is no gap, so it's slightly going downhill. So now we'll raise up this side and adjust it the same way so that one end is lower than the other. Alright, that looks pretty good. I think I'm going to wrap it up here for now. I was going to put the liners in on this video, but I decided to buy some new stuff instead of using my recycled liner, so that's on order. Should be here in a week or so, so I'll finish that up, and then the next video we'll do the liner and some of the plumbing work and hopefully get the plants in here, so we should be in good shape to finish things up. Thanks for watching.